trigonometric functions of any angles, radian measures examples. So previously we saw how to solve for any trigonometric functions of any angles in degree mode. Now we will see how to solve for any trigonometric functions, angles for any trigonometric functions in radian mode. So make sure our calculators are in radians mode. Okay. So let's look at the first one. It says find the theta to 4 decimal places such that the angle is between 0 to 2 pi. So again in one complete circle. So let's look at first example. It says sine theta equals negative 0.5416. So again we will sketch this first. So negative. So we use CAST rule or all STC. Sine is positive here, but we are looking for sine negative, so that happens in quadrants 3 and 4. And then we find alpha, so let's just write down quadrant 3 and quadrant 4. So that's our first step. Second step is to find alpha, so we say sine alpha equals always positive number, so 0.5416. So alpha will be then sine inverse 0.5416. We get alpha equals something. Once we get alpha equals something, let's say what will be that something? Sine inverse 0.5416. The number we get, because this is in radians, not going to be large number, it's just 0.57. Because we are asked to round to 4 decimal places, we're going to carry 5 now, so it's something like this for now. Now in the third quadrant, as we saw earlier, in the third quadrant, theta is always pi plus alpha. So in our case, it will be theta equals pi plus 0.57234. So in our case, theta equals, so this number plus pi, we get one of the answer to be, let's call that theta 1 actually, 3.7139. Okay. Now theta 2 here, because it's in the fourth quadrant, theta 2 will be 2 pi minus alpha. So in our case, theta 2 will be 2 pi subtract 0.57234. We will get theta 2 equals, so it will be 2 pi subtract 0.57234. So the result we get is 5.7108. Okay. Let's look at the next one now. We are given cos theta equals 0.7083. So again, our first step will be to decide which quadrant this happens in. So using all STC, cos is positive here in the first quadrant and fourth quadrant. So it is quadrant 1 and quadrant 4. Now that we have quadrants, we write cos alpha equals 0.7083. So we get then alpha equals cos inverse 0.7083. We get alpha equals, so cos inverse 0.7083. We get 0.78370 or 1 actually. So once we have our alpha, we can say theta 1 is, because in the first quadrant it is same as alpha, so one of the answers should be 0.7837. And in the fourth quadrant, as we saw earlier, theta 2 will be 2 pi minus alpha. So in our case, theta 2 will be 2 pi subtract 0.78371. So theta 2 rounded to 4 decimal place will be 5.4995. Okay. Let's see some more examples. Let's say we are given cot theta equals 2.7614. So we will quickly write down what tan theta will be, because tan and cot are reciprocal. We will say tan theta has to be then 1 over 2.7614. Now to decide which quadrants, again we use CAST rule or all STC. First quadrant all positive, sign positive. In the second quadrant T and C. Now we have 10 positive, so that happens in quadrant 1 and 3. So we'll say it's in Q1 or Q3, quadrant 3. Now we write 10 alpha equals positive value always, so it is same number here. We have positive, it will stay positive. So alpha will be 10 inverse this number, 10 inverse 1 divided by 2.7614. Putting that in calculator, 10 inverse bracket 1 divided by 2.7614. The result we get here is 0.347444. So let's keep that. Now because we have one of the answer in the first quadrant, we know in the first quadrant theta and alpha are same. So one of the answer will be 0.3474. The second one then, in the third quadrant, it will be pi plus alpha. So in our case, theta 2 will be pi, which will be pi plus 0.34744. Theta 2 here, rounded to 4 decimal places, will be, again we need calculator to do this for us, or we can do it manually. Either way, you should get 3.4890. Okay. Let's look at another one. We are given secant theta equals negative 5.974. So we can quickly write down what cos theta will be. We know then cos theta will be 1 over negative 5.974. Now sketching this, cos negative is in the second quadrant and third quadrant. So quadrants 2 and quadrant 3. So then we know from here cos alpha equals 1 over, because it's absolute value, 5.974. Alpha will be then cos inverse 1 divided by 5.974. So in our case then alpha will be cos inverse 1 divided by 5.974. The result we get here is 1.40261. Once we have alpha, depending on which quadrants, we'll get thetas. So in the second quadrant, we know theta is pi minus alpha. So in our case, it will be pi subtract 1.40261. Theta 1 will be then 1.73898. So basically 1.7390. And theta 2 here then, in the third quadrant, it will be pi plus alpha. So in our case, it will be pi plus 1.40261. So theta 2 will be then pi plus 1.40261. We will get 4.5442, and that will be 2 of our answers.